Hi, and thanks for logging on to the Daily DVAR HaLacha. And here's a brand new HaLacha, 4 units for Wednesday, 5th day of February, 10th day of Shvat. 10th day of Shvat means that we are only 5 days away from Tu Shvat, the 15th of Shvat, which is the new year for the trees. We explained a little bit about that to you yesterday, and now I'm going to continue on in telling you some famous things about Tu Shvat. In our Torah, the people, humans, are referred to as Ki Adam Eitz Hasada. Man is a tree of the field. And therefore, on Tu B'Shvat, a lot of people like to find comparisons between trees, which celebrate their new year next week on Monday, and people. And I'll tell you a fascinating comparison between trees and man. Here goes. Here's a story. It happened once that there was a tree in California, a very old tree. I think it was about 100 years old, and I don't remember what kind of tree it was, but I know that the people of the neighborhood were well aware of it because it was just like ancient, and it became like a landmark of the neighborhood there to all of the people. People remembered that their grandparents had taken their childhood pictures there. Their children had taken their childhood pictures in that same park next to that tree. Grandchildren were still taking pictures next to that tree because it had been around for a long time. It started to become famous, and people started to do all kinds of special things around it, hang little memorabilia on it. People planted flowers. They watered it a lot. Doing all kinds of extra cultivating around the tree, and it became a beautiful landmark. Then this all happened a couple of years ago. There was a very strong windstorm in the area, and this tree sadly, very sadly, and very suddenly blew down in that storm. It was just thrown to the ground. The people were very bewildered when the tree came down because it was actually a very healthy and beautiful looking tree. And healthy trees usually aren't the ones to fall down and die. It's usually older trees. And you know older trees that are looking like they're dying, with no leaves on them anymore. This tree was bountiful, beautiful, green, lush, and yet it just tumbled down in that storm, and they were bewildered. Some experts came by to assess the situation, and a very fascinating thing was found by the people as they assessed the death of the wonderful tree. And it was that the roots of the tree were very short. The tree was very well maintained. It was very well watered. The water had gone up all the root system and made the leaves very green and everything, but the roots were short. And the experts informed all the people that was actually the people's fault. They sort of killed the tree. You see, by overwatering the area, what they did was they damage the root system. What roots do underneath a tree is they go deep underground, and they form like these tentacles that reach out and look for nearby water. If they don't find water, they reach farther and farther until they find water, and the tentacles at the edges of the roots just like draw water up the tree, and that's how trees sustain themselves. And that's how trees develop long, deep roots, which root them into the ground. The people, when they had overwatered this tree, had caused the roots to stay short. You see, because all the water was right there, the roots did not have to go deep and tentacle outwards in order to find water. So this tree was growing lush and beautiful, but with very short roots. And when a tree has very short roots, it falls to the ground when it is hit by high winds. Well, that's a fantastic lesson to people who are compared to trees. You see, when we run into dry spots, our dry spots would be like, when something isn't going right or a hardship or whatever. Those hardships actually grow us. They help us build deeper roots and look for tentacles of help from everything around us, and those tentacles of help are very healthy to us. When we don't have hardship and we think that everything is sailing along really smooth, we don't really develop those deep tentacles of trying, and those deep tentacles of friendship, and those deep tentacles of networking, and ultimately that helps us fall down. Moral of the story is that what you think is a hardship sometimes is actually helping you grow strong and deep-rooted and networked and friendship-oriented. And that's the strength of our people. Our togetherness, our leaning on each other. And that's the lesson that we learn from the trees. Thanks for logging on, and log on again tomorrow for more. Bye-bye.